Hi everybody. I do miss seeing all your faces in assembly, how well you contribute, how you smile, how you sing, and how you really are thoughtful about what's happened over the week. And I really do miss it, and I really do miss spending that time with you. So this is the next best thing. This is me trying to do an assembly from my dining room.
So, does anybody know what flag this is? You're right. It's the flag of England, and yesterday was a really important day in England because we celebrated St George's Day. St George is our patron saint, and I'm going to use the rest of this assembly to talk to you about St George, about who he is, what he did, and what that might mean for us today. Now, we know you did lots of learning about it yesterday, so I'm sure you will be able to answer lots of questions. St George is the patron saint of England and other countries, in fact. On April the 23rd, many people across England celebrate the country's patron saint, St George. Patron saints are chosen as special protectors or guardians over all areas of life. St George isn't just the patron saint for England. He also holds this position for Aragon, Catalonia, Georgia, Lithuania, Palestine, Portugal, Germany, Greece, Moscow, Istanbul, Genoa and Venice. The flag of St George, which is a red cross on a white background, is England's national flag and is incorporated into the Union Jack, which is the UK's flag. Very little is actually known about George, and there's a lot of stories about him that are full of myth and legend. It is believed that he was born in a place called Cappadocia, an area which is now Turkey, and he lived during the 3rd century. His parents were Christians, and after his father died, his mother took George to live in the Middle East, where she was originally from. George became a Roman soldier, but protested against how Rome treated Christian people so badly. So how do we celebrate St George's Day? Well, normally there would be parades, fetes, church services, lots of traditional English dancing, Morris dancing, which I know lots of you do. But as we're in lockdown, that's not happened. That's been really difficult to do. So lots of people have probably celebrated at home. What have you done to celebrate St George's Day? The legend of St George and the dragon tells of how he killed the dragon and saved a princess. The tale of St George and the dragon is a legend. This means that some of it may be true. However, it may have been changed and embellished over time. In the past, dragons were used in stories to represent the devil. The most famous legend of St George is of him slaying a dragon. However, the story only became popular in the 12th century, long after St George had died. There are many different versions of the story, but the one I'm going to tell you is one of the most common. St George travelled to Libya. When he arrived there, he found it had a large pond, almost as big as a lake, where a ferocious dragon lived. The dragon was terrorising the country, and every day the people had been feeding the dragon a sheep to appease it. When the sheep had all gone, the dragon had demanded that the people sacrifice a young maiden to him each day. St George found that all the young girls had now been killed, and the only daughter left was the King of Egypt's daughter. And unless a knight could be found to slay the dragon, the princess would be sacrificed the next day. The King of Egypt had promised his daughter's hand in marriage to the knight who could overcome the terrible dragon. St George was determined to save the princess, and the next day he rode out to the lake. When he arrived, he found the princess there, waiting to be fed to the dragon. St George sent her home to the palace and approached the dragon's cave. When the dragon heard St George's horse approaching, he came out of his cave and roared at him. The dragon was huge, and its roar sounded like thunder. St George was not afraid. He struck the monster with his spear, but the dragon's scales were so hard that it simply broke into pieces. St. George fell from his horse, but he did not give up. Instead, he rushed at the dragon and used his sword to slay it under the wing, where there were no scales. The dragon fell dead at St. George's feet. So that's the well-known story of how St. George worked hard and was brave to fight a dragon and to save the people in that community from what was going to be a really dangerous thing. Button Lane children, I'm so proud of you. I know that you are working hard to stay in, to not see people that you want to see, to not come to school and to see your friends and to see your teachers. You're working hard to keep people in school, at home, in the community and across the country. You're working hard to keep them safe. We're fighting our own dragon. This dragon's the coronavirus. Do you remember at the beginning, children, I said that patron saints are people who are special protectors of life? Well, I think you are patron saints today. You're doing exactly that. You are protecting life. You are making sacrifices to help others. You are staying in. You are not going to school. You are sacrificing things you'd want to do to protect the lives of others. And we couldn't be any prouder of you. And even though we can't see each other, we're still our school. You're still our children, our pupils. We're still your teachers, lunchtime organisers, teaching assistants, office staffs, cleaners, caretakers, head teachers. We're still here. We're just waiting till we can see you again. Take care, Button Lane, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.